And after all the snow from the blizzard, which only took me 3 days to clear out my driveway so that I could get to the street, I look out my window and it's snowing again. So join me with a tasty beverage of your choice close to hand while we take a look at this month's plant updates. And before we get started, I'm happy to take this opportunity to send out a special thank you to Beata Tofil 5925 and Amber Schmidt 275, who sent me super thanks last week. And also to Planting with Wine, who bought me coffees. Your support for my channel goes a long way in helping keep me in plants and infrastructure, technology, and everything that's needed to make these videos each week. So I thank you all very, very much for your support. And I've got something in bloom this week, or very near to blooming, and this is my Hoya phuwuaensis. And it is just, get everything secured here, it has just started opening. And those blooms are very, very pretty. I don't think they have a scent yet. And they're very reminiscent of caudata blooms. So yeah, this has been a really good plant for me. The leaves are gorgeous. It blooms quite regularly. And once it got established, it's done very, very well. It's no trouble, no trauma, no drama. Like I said, it blooms regularly and has grown very, very well. The leaves are firm. They will not take kindly to being bent. The stems are fairly woody, so I'm guessing this plant doesn't hold a lot of moisture, but it's not excessively thirsty either, so it does pretty well. Doesn't require any special setup or cabinets or anything like that. This one's just growing in ambient conditions. It actually lives back down here in the front of this set of grow shelves. So yeah, nothing demanding. I have it in pond and self-watering. It's got a nice, healthy little root system on it. And this one's been here for about 4 years. So yeah, if you like caudata and you like that whole vibe, then maybe you should take a look. Keep an eye out for Hoya phuwuaensis. And we start this update with Hoyas that have been here for 3 months. And the first one up is my Hoya stenakei. Yeah, well, anyway, Hoya stenakei is native to Papua New Guinea. It was first collected in 2011 in Baiberi, Sandaun province of Papua New Guinea, and published in 2017 in Gardens Bulletin by Nathaniel Simonson Johunue and Michaela Rhoda. And it's named after the late Mr. Stenakei Svensson. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Yeah, this one did not do well, and it's, of course, in part operator error. It usually is. Let's see if I can get this out of here. And it needed, there we go, come on. It needed more consistent humidity, I think. Let's see if there's anything left on. No, it just needed, it looks like it never really rooted. I think it might have been better to, I put it in net pot, cover pot, pumice. I think the cover pot would have been fine. I think I should have used a more solid, less airy container because it clearly just dried up. So I have another one coming. I'm going to try again because I really want to grow this, and we'll see. So it might be a case where a prop box or something that maintains a higher level of humidity would have been better for this one. But yeah, you win some, you lose some. And so I'm not hiding behind it. This one didn't make it, but I'm going to try again. And this is Hoya stenakei, or it was anyway. It will be again soon. Not this one, but there's another one coming. So Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? And the next one that's been here for 3 months, you've seen several times recently, but it is its 3-month anniversary, so we're going to talk about it again because it's doing well. And that's my Ludisia discolor. Now, Ludisia discolor is native to Brunei, Cambodia, Hainan Island, South Central and Southeast China, to Kalimantan and Sumatra in Indonesia, to Laos, Malaysia, including Malaya, Sabah and Sarawak, Myanmar, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. It was first published in 1859 in Flore, Jave, et Insularum Adjacentium Nova series by Carl Ludwig von Blume. It had been published before that, but it was not what's known as being validly published, and that it didn't have all the information necessary for it to be considered as scientific publishing. Anyway, this one is still in its little cup from the plant store. I didn't want to repot it until it was done blooming. Let's see if I can get that too. And the blooms are just, I think they're very, very pretty. So I haven't done anything with it yet, but it's going to go into a nice little pot like that in the near future. And I think that'll be a good start for it. Ludisia discolor tends to the roots never go terribly deep, so it can go with a shallow dish. And I'm going to use something, right now it looks like it's in cocoa peat and a little bit of perlite. And I might use a bit of cocoa peat, but I'm also going to put in some fine bark and some pumice, I think. So it'll be sort of airier, but still have some moisture retentive qualities. I should have pictures of the blooms over here. The leaves are just incredible. They're just so beautiful. And I used to have a full pot of this, and it got away from me. It's kind of a thirsty little puppy, especially when it's like planted in this. It doesn't hold a lot of moisture. So every couple of days, I got to give this one a drink. But I think a dish like this will do better for it. It did before for me, so that's where I'm going with it. But yeah, there's so much neat to like about that. And it's so pretty. And at least the Ludisia discolor is not a fussy jewel orchid. These are sometimes referred to as jewel orchids. There's a few others too, but this one is not particularly fussy. It doesn't need excessively high humidity or anything. It's growing here in the plant room in ambient, so which at the moment is about 72 degrees and about 35 to 40% humidity. So this can handle it. Some of the other jewel orchids are a little bit fussier and will seriously want much more humidity, but we don't play with those because they don't play well here. So yeah, this one's very cool though. I'm glad it's doing well. It's putting out a new little leaf. We're all good here. Happy, happy, happy. This one came from Jordan's Jungle in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And this is my Ludisia discolor, and this is the variety known as Black. Next up, we have a plant celebrating its 1-year anniversary, and that's one of my GPS-88. And this is a Dischidia. It used to be known as Hoya GPS-88, but this is a Dischidia. Now, we don't know where it's from or much about it. We do know that the name or the accession number GPS-88 is not valid. GPS refers to Gerard Paul Shirley, and his records for GPS-88 do not match this plant at all. So we don't know. Don't know where it came from. Don't know what it's related to. It's sort of like an acuminata. Do I have one here? Yeah. So there's an acuminata that's coming along, and that's the GPS-88. So there's a resemblance, but even that's as far as it's going to go. It looks a bit like that. This one came as a small cutting, and I may have a picture of it when it first arrived over here. And it took it a while to really root and start growing, so I was concerned about it, and I ordered another one that was already rooted. This was an unrooted cutting. And the second one that was already rooted is growing over there. It's going great guns. So yeah, this one is now at a point where it's got roots coming out the bottom. So I'm going to cut that cup apart and try and put this in with the other and combine the two of them, I think, to make one plant, because I don't have room for two of them. It has done fairly well. It's markedly behind the other GPS-88, and I think that's simply because that one was rooted when I got it and it was pretty much set to go. The other one does seem to respond well to being in pond or an inorganic mix. It loves that kind of setup. So yeah, it's doing well. I think those leaves are very, very interesting. It has, of course, not bloomed for me yet, neither one of them, but that's okay. We're good. I like the leaves. I like the whole thing. So yeah, I think that's a good foot and a half. So like 30 to 45 centimeters in a year. I'll deal with that. From an unrooted cutting, yeah, we'll be okay with that. So yeah, no difficulty, no trauma, no drama. It likes moderate light and doesn't want to dry out. So self-watering is or passive hydro is a really good setup for this plant. Very cool. Yeah, this one came from Gigi's greenhouse on Etsy, and this is Dischidia GPS-88. This next one has been here for 2 years, and it's a cautionary tale about always having something for scale when you look at pictures of plants. And this is my Hoya vitellinoides. Now, vitellinoides is native to Java and Sumatra in Indonesia. It was originally found on Java and published in 1950 in Blumea, Tijdschrift voor de Systematiek en Geografie der Planten, a journal of plant taxonomy and plant geography by Reinier Cornelis Bachhuizen van den Brink. And I saw the leaf on this one, and I thought, well, that's really nice. That's very pretty. And I didn't have anything in the picture that I was looking at to show me scale. And these leaves are now measuring in at, from petiole to tip, we're looking at 8 inches or about 20 centimeters. And from side to side, we're looking at about 3.5 inches, or what is that? Come on. 3.5 inches, or let's say right around 9 centimeters. And all the leaves are coming in that size, which is not a problem, but they are big and veiny. And you know how I feel about that. So yeah, they have a slightly recessed central rib, slightly raised outer veins. There is some flexibility, but I would classify them as medium firm. Not quite too rigid, but because of that central rib, they won't take kindly to bending this way. You might be able to get a little bit of a curl, but I wouldn't do that. It's done very, very well. I should have a picture, with luck, of what it looked like when it first arrived. And, in 2 years, it's done well. It has not bloomed for me yet, but that's okay. I can work with that. The only caveat about this one has to do with this trellis, which works fine, but do keep an eye on the plant, because this leaf is fully out and it's inside the tower. And I just had to try and get this one out and this one out. so they're growing outside and not inside, because if they grow in, they'll have a permanent curve to them, which is not what we can even see some of where it was pressed up against the two of the uprights there. But it's a very, very pretty plant. No issues whatsoever. It's growing in pond and self-watering. It's got a nice little root system. And it's doing fairly well. I think once the warmer weather gets back and the humidity's a little more consistent, it's going to be even happier. But so far, it's doing very well. I like this plant. Be prepared. It's going to need some real estate. Now, when you get leaves like that, I mean, from side to side on this one, that's, what was it? Come on. Well, it's about 18 inches or 46 centimeters. So yeah, it's going to want some space, but it's definitely worth giving it that space. That's just really pretty. It's just really pretty. Leaves don't feel, maybe slightly pubescent on the underside, not really on the top, but it's done well for me. So, you know, happy, no complaints. This one came from Plants Wake You Up. And this is my Hoya vitellinoides. Plants that have been here for 3 years. And the first one is my Hoya carnosa, Wilbur Graves. Now, Hoya carnosa is native to South Central and Southeast China, to Hainan Island, to Japan and the Nansei Shoto, to Laos and Taiwan. And it was first published in 1883 in the Flora of British India by Joseph Dalton Hooker. And this was the it plant. Everybody had to have it. It was commanding, in some cases, triple digits for a very small cutting. And I usually don't go for stuff like that. And it's a carnosa. It's a carnosa. At that point, I had mixed experience with carnosa. I mean, they grow really well for me, but some of them never seem to bloom. And so it was just like, okay, fine. I wasn't going to search for it. I wasn't going to spend that kind of money. And okay, fine. And then a vendor sent a cutting with an order I had placed. And the leaves were quite variegated, very silvery, very nice looking. And I thought, okay, well, I got one for free. Let's see what all the hype is about. And the hype is about how well it grows. And this is a carnosa that blooms. So it didn't bloom the first year, but it did start blooming the second year, and I should have pictures over here of what the blooms looked like. And now it's a very regular and prolific bloomer, provided I, do my part and water it and stuff like that. So yeah, I like, let's see if I can do this without, I think the leaves are pretty. I don't have as much splash up here as I do down here, so it's clearly not a light issue because this is closer to the light than this is. Sometimes that's how it goes. But it's done well. May even have a picture of what it looked like when it first showed up too. If I do, I'll pop that in here. But it's a carnosa, so it's not giving me any trouble. It's a little top heavy at this point, so I just have to keep that in mind. It's growing in pond and self-watering. Hold on. Pond and self-watering. It's got a nice little root system. Come on. There we go. That should be better. So no complaints. It's a very, very pretty carnosa. And I believe the prices have come down considerably. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this one. It's just been really cool, and I like it. It grew on me, It grew on me. So yeah, I'm pleased with this. It's done very well. It kind of needs a little bit of work. I'm putting off a lot of work until the warmer weather comes and I can take lots of these plants out of this room, clean everything up again, do some trellising and some trimming and putting things right. Right now, I'm just trying to get through the winter, trying to get to May. So even April, I'd be happy for April right now. This has been really cool. This one came from Plants Wake You Up. And this is my Hoya carnosa, Wilbur Graves. And my next plant has been here for 3 years as well, and it has exceeded any expectation I had of it. And that's my Hoya caudata gold. Now, Hoya caudata is native to Thailand, southern part of Thailand, to Malaya, Sabah, and Sarawak in Malaysia, and to Sumatra in Indonesia, and to Singapore. And it was originally found in peninsular Malaya. It was published in 1883 in the Flora of British India by Joseph Dalton Hooker, and the name comes from caudatus, from the Latin caudatus, which means tailed. And so it has those blooms which kind of hang out the bottom a little bit. And I should have some pictures over here of caudata. I saw this first on Miro's channel, and I fell in love with those leaves. I did not think I would get these kind of results. But if I had a few leaves that were like this, that would be fine. But they are pretty much all amazingly beautiful. I think it's just a stunning plant. Now, caudata for me works really, really well. I have 1, 2, 3. Well, I have 3 caudata, and I have a flagellata, which may or may not be a caudata, but the leaves get a little bit of sun stressing, as you can see when they're first settling in, and these are close to a light. The other leaves are just achingly beautiful. It has not bloomed for me yet. The pictures I showed earlier were just of caudata blooms in general. This particular variety or cultivar blooms the same. The leaves are rigid, like credit card rigid. Don't try and bend them. The vines are woody, and once this got established, it's done very well. It's in pond and self-watering with a nice little root system. It lives right over here on this shelf, so it is fairly close to grow lights. Most of my caudata, I'm looking at where things are, like a little bit, can take or like a little bit of good light. So yeah, that's fine, like it gets it there. I would probably like to put this on an optimistic trellis, because an optimistic trellis would be, where is it? It's going to be about there. So it would be another almost 12 inches on top of this. Another 30 centimeters. And there's definitely the leaves here to support that, but that's just incredible. It's just such a beautiful plant. I know there's one called Caudata Silver. The other 2 I have, in addition to the flagellata, are ones that were sometimes known as Sumatra. And there's a whole discussion about what's really what and who's really who, but I have a couple of those, and they grow very well for me. So yeah, if you like that look, that to me, it's kind of that prehistoric look, sort of like undulata. These have a little bit of undulation along the edge. It's not a substitute for undulata, but gee, that's kind of pretty. And it's a lot less finicky than undulata. So yeah, this one's done really well. I love it. I love this plant. It's just so pretty. And it's exceeded all expectations. This came from Plants Wake You Up, and this is my Hoya caudata Gold. And now the question for the comments, sort of. First of all, thank you to everyone who took the trouble to answer last week's question about what you're experimenting with. That was interesting and sent me off on some, I pulled out my googly device and did a little searching on some of the things that you were pursuing. And it's always cool. You always learn about other stuff when you kind of read the comments and see what other people are doing. So that's very cool. In some of the most recent comments, someone asked about my nutrient solution and the ratios I use. And as I've said before, I use the General Hydroponics Flora series. Now, I follow the instructions that are on the back of the package, and you start with the micro. So I have a couple old jugs. I measure up a gallon's worth of, I use tap water. I don't do anything unless your water is like toxic to you. Anyway, Doug Chamberlain once made the comment that he used tap water because it seemed to him that he had fewer cases of root rot when he used tap water, that perhaps some of the chemicals that were added to municipal water systems in this country seem to slow down the chance of root rot. So I don't know. I don't know any research on that, but as much water as I go through, I can't be buying distilled water or bottled water for plants. I don't buy it for me, so. So follow the instructions that are on the back. And that is that you use 1 gallon or 3.785 liters, and you add the 3 components as quarter teaspoons or 5 milliliters. Now, that's a quarter teaspoon, and I find it very difficult to pour from this into this. So I got a graduate pipette, so it's got markings down the side to measure stuff out, and it can also fit to the bottom of a tall bottle. So again, you always start with the micro, put it in, shake it up. Then I usually head to the Flora Grow, measure it out, put it in, shake it up. Then followed by the bloom. And I probably don't need to, but I like to get each one dissolved individually. You do need to make sure that the micro grow gets dissolved first before you add anything else. I think it was Not Dude who said that the other two can inhibit the absorption of some of the micronutrients if you put them in first. I don't know whether or not that's correct, but that's just what I've always done. If you're going to add anything else, do it after these two, these 3, so that they get dissolved and mixed in with the water first. You really don't need to add anything else if you're using this system or any of the other systems. I've not tried them, so this is the one I'm familiar with. This is the one I use. And then I use that solution as it is, and that's what I water with. I don't dilute it. I don't do anything else with it. Since most of my plants are in self-watering pots or a passive hydroponic setup, that's what I use. That's what I fill the reservoirs with. So, there's no, follow the instructions. It took me a while to get used to it, but now I can make up a batch of that stuff in no time at all. So yeah, that's what I use when I mix it up. And I use that same solution for a lot of my other plants as well, whether they're in organic or inorganic mixes. If they're in self-watering, that's what they get. So yeah, that's what I do. Now, the question for the comments this week is about your current wish list. Now, somebody asked, and the reason I'm bringing it up again, because it's always fun, because everybody's, my wish list is always changing. But I mentioned that I was looking for some very, very specific things. And so my wish list really isn't terribly long. And somebody said, what are you looking for? So I'm looking for a Hoya stenakei. I'm looking for a Hoya lasianta. I'm looking for any kind of Papua Hoya I can find. And I think I found a bucheliana. Fingers crossed. I actually have. I want to see if I can put some other things in that shipment. So yeah. I'm looking for a Dischidia tomentella and a Dedera. Now, Dedera is not that difficult to find, but I haven't tried it yet. So that's one I want to find. And again, it's something I want to try, and I'm like the rest of you. You know, if I'm going to place an order, I always check and see if the seller has anything else I can get into that box, since I'm going to pay for shipping. So yeah. So in the comments below, tell me what are the top 3 things on your wish list. And as always, I'd like to thank you for choosing to spend a little bit of your time with me this week's end. Please remember that thumbs up like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell, and the hype button if you're on a mobile device. They all help convince YouTube that people like my content and therefore should recommend it to others who might also enjoy it. A lot of the products that you've seen me use are available through my Amazon storefront. There's a link in the description, or you can use this QR code to visit the storefront. I get a small commission on the sales, but it doesn't increase your price whatsoever. It's a nice way to help support the channel by buying things you would probably buy anyway. If you're in the market for grow lights, I have a fantastic relationship with Sansi Company. And if you use this QR code and this discount code, or the link in the description, and visit the website, you'll receive a 30% discount from the products you find there. My Sansi lights have worked out really well for me, and I think that you will be happy with them. If you'd like to support the channel directly, here's a QR code for my Buy Me a Coffee page. There's also a link in the description to my Buy Me a Coffee page, or you can use the thanks button down here, and YouTube handles all the processing for that thanks button. Links to a couple more videos that you may find entertaining and or educational are going to be over here. And please enjoy the rest of your week's end.